Hi there, how you doing? It's another beautiful month of October. And yes, it's the month of the birth month of the convener, cum facilitator of Super Community Teachings, and also it's also the month we commemorate the birth of the Vision, the umbrella body that has grown to host all our conferences, all our meetings, as well as this very initiative of Superb Community. And yes, it's a beautiful thing. Apparently today that you're watching this video is the anniversary. Is the very day the vision for the Battlefield Foundation was received, and we began running with this so passionately since inception. So thank you so much for being a part of this journey. We love you. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. So let's get into the teaching for this month. It is another month of learning for us on Superb Community, and we would be discussing the topic enabled by knowledge. Enabled by knowledge. Now, it's a beautiful reality for us as individuals to discover that the many things we do is all that we actually know to do. But the reality of the things we do is that we do not do what we know to do most times from a conscious standpoint. We do it from an unconscious standpoint. So case in point, right? Or for example, you do not really think about having to cook. You do not really think about, especially if you know how to cook, you don't think about the whole process to making that meal. You do not think about the whole process to brushing your teeth. You do not think about the process to having your bath. You don't rack your brain or roll your head around okay, how do I apply toothpaste? You do it based on how you've been doing it, because that's how you know how to do it. Now, as basic as that is, it transcends into every other thing in life. We are only able to do what we want to do after we have known that thing, or known the how to do that thing. And the problem is, many people easily throw out I don't know how to do this thing, I don't know how to increase in this area, I don't know how to get better in this, I don't know how to get better at that. And in all honesty, you're right. We're sorry for not taking you serious. You're correct. You don't know how to. And that's the truth. But what is not true is that should be your final bus stop. There was one time you never knew how to take your bath. You had someone do it for you until you learned how to do it. There was a time you did not know how to wear your clothes. You had someone dress you up until you learned how to do it. There was a time you couldn't lace your shoes. You had someone do it for you until you learned how to do it. Why am I saying all of this? You are only enabled to do a thing after you have gone through a learning process. You see, in this month where we're discussing enabled by knowledge, it's a charge for you to go after knowledge much more than you celebrate your excuses. It's for you to go after information. It's for you to go after right information much more than you throw out the I don't know mantra. The truth is, no one really knows until we decide to know. Every single person is as ignorant as they choose to be. Now, there are varying viewpoints to, it's not because I don't want to know, I don't have the ability to know. The truth is, the willingness of every human being can make you find a way around any given situation. It may not be the best approach you would end up discovering or you'll be able to afford, but you would definitely find a way to kickstart the process. And the problem is, we've come into a timeline where we're pressured to function, to manifest so fast and so excellently that some of us are very, very worried and very, very, very pained and very scared and feel very somehow when we have to start from seemingly little beginnings, insignificant steps, or poor appearance kind of activity. See, the process of learning is what increases knowledge. And sometimes life will put you in situations where you truly do not know so that you can get to know. In fact, every day you are exposed to a brand new day which you have no knowledge about what can happen in that day. The best of what happens in that day, the best of it, are the things you know to do that you are able to effectively do. If you are unable to do the things you know to do in a particular day, dearly beloved one, you are likely to have a horrible day, not because the day in itself was horrible, but because the activities that ensued in the day involving you were not as pleasant. Based off of the performance evaluation, what do I mean? When we look at what you did and how you did what you did in that day, we discover that you did poorly. And every poor action is as a result of poor knowledge. There's a better way to cook a particular meal. There's a way to achieve a particular design. There is a way to actually create or get that particular system working. There is a way. There is always a way. What enables you to achieve is the knowledge you carry. And so I want to maybe say three things, or give you three processes, or give you three things about enabling yourself. You must have a penchant for knowledge. Anyone who is desirous to know will end up discovering. Anyone who is willing to learn, anyone who is of a teachable spirit, anyone who is hungry for knowledge would end up finding. And the reason why you need this is, especially in life, as you run through purpose, vision, or the basics of life, just having to exist, yes, and living day-to-day life, you need, at barest minimum, you need proper human relationship skills, because you have to go out, you have to interact with people, either by trade or by transportation. Somehow you are interacting with persons, and you would need information as to how to comport self and how to present self and how to apply self in given circumstances. Else you'll be having a lot of unruly behaviors which will affect you. So you see, at every point you would need knowledge, and so there has to be this nature in you that is teachable. There has to be this desire in you that wants you, or you, that pushes you rather, or stirs you to learn. So yes, have a penchant for knowledge, be desirous of it, want it, crave to know. Now, I have to put a caveat here in this statement. Crave to know in the direction in which you want to grow. I take that again. Crave knowledge in the direction in which you want to grow. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to know something about everything. There are some aspects of life you really may not need knowledge on, because you may never experience it. You don't need to bother yourself on unnecessary things. But in the things that apply to your life, and the things that apply to career, and the things that apply to you growing, crave knowledge in that area. So if you find a weak point in yourself, if you find a weakness, if you find a problem, go after knowledge. Now, what do I mean here by knowledge? Because it's not just reading books, it's not just listening to podcasts, it's not just listening to mentors, it's not just watching this video, it's not just hearing someone who is knowledgeable or who is experienced in that thing talk about it. It is knowledge at an experiential level. So you will go for knowledge at an experiential level. What it means is you would learn first, and then you will put to practice the things you have learned, and you will keep practicing till it can get into the place of your unconsciousness, where you can naturally manifest the behavior without consciously bringing it to mind. You go about dressing up and doing all things without having to consciously think of where the right hand to your dress is or the left hand to your dress is supposed to go. You don't do that. You don't need to sit down and be adjusting your shoe as an adult. No, you don't do that. You don't say, oh, where's the left leg? You naturally know where it goes to, because over time you have been putting on clothes, shoes, and all of those things that have made you familiar enough with it. So you are only enabled to do that because you have known it over a period of time experientially. So the penchant for knowledge I'm speaking of is not just learning, it's practicality too. It's you putting the work, it's you doing that thing that you're advised to do, it's you trying out that new process and trying it till it works. And if it doesn't work, you seek another, not you giving up. Not you giving up. That's the first thing. The second thing is you must understand that knowledge is power. Now, knowledge is what gives you ability. And so if you must be able to do a thing, if you would want your brain to be able to think in a particular way, you must develop the knowledge of that thing in your brain. You must develop the knowledge of that situation in your mind, inside, right there in your thinking faculty. You must develop the knowledge. Because knowledge is power. The person who can drive a car well is because the person has learned about driving, driven cars over a particular or a substantial period of time. And that's the truth. You cannot just wake up and put a child or a teenager or even an adult who has never driven before, and you trust the adult to drive a pregnant woman to the hospital. No, you wouldn't take such risk. So you must understand that knowledge is power. And when you understand that knowledge is power, you will know so that you are empowered, or like we put it in the title, enabled to carry out that activity. So it is one thing to know, and we can test you in an exam and we can see that there is a cognizance of the things we are asking you about. It's another thing to see you live out that lifestyle, because you have come to know it, meaning you have practiced it and you have gotten an experiential understanding of the action. So it's not just acting, it's acting and getting an understanding of the feedback. Okay, I did this and this was what people said back. This was how people received it. It helps you improve, it helps you develop. Knowing that knowledge is power makes you look for better ways to do a thing. Knowing that knowledge is power makes you look for higher levels of knowledge in a particular field. Knowing that knowledge is power makes you seek personal improvement, career improvement, personal development, or everything that you're doing. Understanding that knowledge is power makes you go for more to become more. So you are only going to do as much as you have come to know or grow in knowledge. So the first thing I said is passion for knowledge. The second thing I said is you must come to the understanding that knowledge is power, and this is what will begin to propel you to continue in knowledge. The final thing you must know after knowing these two things is that too much knowledge is a disease. So this is to my overthinking friends and those of us who belong to the school of deep thinking and overthinking and overanalyzing and analyzing paralyzing activities, or as they call it, analysis paralysis activities, whatever the word is. You all shall get them said. The fact that you're stressing so much on details of a matter and trying to find out everything that exists on a particular subject robs you of the possibility of experience in that field. So there are certain things that you should not learn from the books. There are certain things you should not learn from a mentor. There are certain things you should not learn from a podcast. Those things are things you should develop in practice. Those things are things you should develop as you carry out action. Those things are things you should develop as you dare to step out and act. I'm saying this because we have many people who are so big on learning that they forget to act. And so we'll meet someone who can use their mouth to tell us the entirety of the process, but cannot take a first step. As much as you are enabled by knowledge, you must understand that the influx of too much knowledge is a disease to action, and you must be wary of that. Thank you so much for joining me again on this episode of Superb Community Monthly Teaching. I love you. My name is Famous Warrior Chijioke. Until I come your way next month, which will be our last teaching for the year 2025. Be good. God bless you. And remember, the much you are able to do is because of the much you know. Take care of yourself. Signing out.